Once upon a time, in a small village in ancient China, there lived a young boy named Li. Li was a bright and curious child, but he had a problem. He couldn't stop overthinking. Every little event, big or small, would send his mind spinning into a whirlwind of thoughts and worries. It seemed like no matter what Li did, he couldn't escape the constant chatter in his mind. Whether it was worrying about school, friendships, or even what he would have for dinner, his thoughts consumed him like a hungry flame. One day, Li's grandfather, a wise and gentle soul, noticed the troubled expression on his grandson's face. He could see the weight of Li's thoughts bearing down on him like a heavy burden. "Come, Li," his grandfather said, beckoning him to sit beside him in the shade of a gnarled old tree. "I want to show you something." Curious, Li followed his grandfather's lead. They walked together to a nearby stream where the water flowed clear and cool. His grandfather scooped up a glass of water from the stream and handed it to Li. "Hold this glass, Li," his grandfather instructed gently. Li took the glass, its cool surface smooth against his palm. He noticed that it was half filled with water, and it didn't seem too heavy at first. "Now, tell me," his grandfather asked, "is the glass heavy?" Li furrowed his brow in thought. Not really," he replied tentatively. His grandfather nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of his lips. "Now, hold on to it for a little longer," he said. As Li held the glass, he began to feel a subtle change. At first, it was barely noticeable, a slight ache in his fingers, a faint strain in his arm. But as seconds turned into minutes, the weight seemed to grow heavier and heavier. "It's getting heavier," Li said, struggling to hold onto the glass. His grandfather nodded, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "You see, Li, the weight of the glass hasn't changed, but the longer you hold onto it, the heavier it feels. Just like your thoughts. When you hold onto them for too long, they become heavy burdens that weigh you down." Li's eyes widened with understanding. It was as if a light had been switched on inside his mind. "So, what do I do?" Li asked, his voice tinged with hope. His grandfather placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "You learn to let go, my dear Li. Just as you can set down the glass and relieve yourself of its weight, you can release your thoughts and find peace once again." From that moment on, Li made a conscious effort to let go of his overthinking. Whenever he felt his thoughts spiraling out of control, he would imagine them as water flowing through his mind, gently easing away the tension and worry. With each passing day, Li's mind grew clearer and lighter, like a burden had been lifted from his shoulders. He found joy in the simple moments, basking in the warmth of the sun on his face or the laughter of his friends. And though he still had moments of doubt and uncertainty, Li knew that he held the key to his own peace and happiness. With the wisdom of his grandfather's words and the gentle reminder of the glass of water, he learned to let go of his overthinking and live fully in the present moment.